S.T.A.L.K.E.R called Pripyat is originally the last game in the cult classic duo. Yes, that other one doesn't exist. We don't even talk about it or acknowledge its existence. With the announcement of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, many of us are actually turning back to replay the originals until S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 comes out. This leaves a difficult question. Out of the two, which one do you play? Many games will struggle to maintain continuity between each title with their visuals and atmosphere. Chernobyl set these bars extremely high, but Pripyat does not disappoint. Colors are still muted and dark, but again, this may be to create that dark, moody atmosphere again. Textures are great overall, nothing looks bad or out of place, they still kind of hold up today. However, the lighting is still very similar to Chernobyl. And while it was very well done for its time with Chernobyl, Pripyat came out almost 2 years later and they didn't innovate this at all. The atmosphere of S.T.A.L.K.E.R is still firmly intact in Pripyat. A different development team, but they definitely got the memo. The atmosphere is still some of the best in class with its moody visuals and sounds. The zone, importantly, is still the zone, and the weather confirms that. Now, importantly, S.T.A.L.K.E.R called Pripyat is still an FPS. They didn't change anything here. Generational and engine-based improvements actually make the handling of the weapons better than Chernobyl, making combat feel more natural. For some reason, though, I'm not sure why they did this, in Pripyat, weapons are actually really inaccurate. Even after you mod them, the spread is still pretty significant, and I do believe this is because Pripyat uses cone of fire, which really shows its age. There's also very few weapons to choose from the game. It's kind of weird. It doesn't seem like there's really that many more than Chernobyl, if there is. I don't know if there is, actually. Sounds in Pripyat are almost identical to Chernobyl. Some of them actually seem like they were pulled directly from the game. A lot of weapons and monsters will use very similar, if not the exact same sound effects. Ambient tracks that are all new and fit the theme very well, but they don't really stand up on their own. It's Fire-like again. They made a few original tracks for the game, and they're very good, actually. The intro and outro songs are great, and a lot of people hold them in high regard. Sound mixing is overall very similar to Chernobyl, with the noises in the distance and the stuff in the distance, and
Attention! Attention! An emission is approaching. Find cover immediately!
everything sounds like it belongs there. Pretty wild. One huge drawback to the game, however, at least if you play it in the English version or outside of its native language of Russian, the voice acting.
No. What the hell is that? Wait! We're all dead. Help! Someone help me! Get that thing away from me! No!
Recon unit.
Good to go?
Ready? What? I'm always ready.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Everyone's ready. Open it up.
It is terrible. It's way worse than Chernobyl. I don't understand this. I mean, I imagine they didn't have a huge budget, but they at least had 2 games of revenue to support this one. Maybe Clear Sky really did suck that much. Anyways, they could have hired some voice actors for the English lines and not just had a guy go, "Get that thing away from me, no!"
Perfect!
Now, importantly, S.T.A.L.K.E.R called Pripyat is still an FPS. They didn't change anything here. Generational and engine-based improvements actually make the handling of the weapons better than Chernobyl, making combat feel more natural. For some reason, though, I'm not sure why they did this, in Pripyat, weapons are actually really inaccurate. Even after you mod them, the spread is still pretty significant, and I do believe this is because Pripyat uses cone of fire, which really shows its age. There's also very few weapons to choose from in the game. It's kind of weird. It doesn't seem like there's really that many more than Chernobyl, if there is. I don't know if there is, actually. First thing you'll do is explore the map to find artifacts, right? Near S.T.A.L.K.E.R. This is the same as Chernobyl, but the first thing you'll notice is how much smaller the map is. Pripyat offers a condensed version of the Chernobyl map. However, it's got a lot more polish in its missions and level design overall. However, every now and then with the level design, there's these unscalable hills that don't really make a whole lot of sense. This is really designed to force the player down a linear path, but it's kind of a sandboxy game, doesn't really make sense. Missions are the primary thing you'll be doing, the main story as well as the plenty of side missions, but there's a lot less of them in Pripyat overall.
Come on, college boy!
The lootable boxes are still in, but they're always empty. You like stab them and they come apart, but they're always empty. Not sure why they changed this. It's not really a huge deal, but whatever. Oh, and the stashes that I mentioned in the previous video, you can find them without the map markers now. Chernobyl, where they would be empty without the markers, you can still get the markers on your map from looting things and whatnot and missions, but if you find them without the marker, they're pretty likely to have stuff in it anyways. A lot of the missions in Chernobyl would either loop or be extremely similar. Pripyat has missions that feel handmade and are far more sensible overall. One of the things they added to Pripyat is the weapon and armor modding from Clear Sky, that game that doesn't exist. This is basically like a tech tree you get to choose and customize your weapons from, but you can't have like both options. Some of them they make you pick. Sometimes you'll need different types of protection and you can choose between the two options on this upgrade and try to balance your overall protection quality out. Artifacts are still a main focus in the game. Each one of them offers different things, like remove radiation or additional carry weight, but overall these have been condensed down into much less options. Additionally, they use slots on your chest armor instead of just being slots on your belt. Different armors will have different amounts of slots. You also may be able to mod your armors to increase the amount of slots. Artifacts overall are far more restrictive though in their usage, and they really don't provide the more utility to warrant the restriction. One change is you can't just find artifacts laying around in the roads or in a tunnel or something. They only show up inside large anomalies on the map that are relevant to their element and effect. Like for example, fire resistance artifacts found in a fire anomaly, right? This grounds the game a bit. Since they were not really that dangerous to find in the previous games, why would they be so valuable if they were just laying on the grass? One huge drawback to artifacts though is you can only see them if you have a detector in your hand. Why? They just disappear and become invisible if you don't have the detector out. Progression in Pripyat is still handled through your equipment, just like Chernobyl. No leveling up or stats or skills like other games, meaning you don't have to kill or fight every single thing you see for the experience points it would give you. Instead, expending your ammo to kill something may actually detract from your overall effectiveness. For example, if you run out of ammo in your best gun, you might have to backpedal to have any effectiveness at all. Pripyat can be a bit of a challenging game from time to time, especially at the start, which is normal to S.T.A.L.K.E.R. But if you're a series veteran and made it through Chernobyl, you'll find Pripyat to be far more forgiving overall. Bullet damage seems way lower than Chernobyl, and it leaves the player feeling much more durable. Pripyat still uses the same game engine as Chernobyl, meaning that some of the things that were great carry over. However, this means that some of the things that are not so great also carry over. Pripyat is kind of a buggy game. Even after all the mod patches, there's still a lot of scripting errors. AI will sometimes just completely hang and want to have to run an idle reset script upon itself just to get itself going again. Enemy AI will just stare into walls or get completely stuck. The NPCs will still travel around the world just like Chernobyl did and stop at campfires and chill for a bit. This grounds the game a bit, but overall, the engine leaves a little bit to be desired. Performance is a bit of a mixed bag. It seems to get worse over time and a restart fixes it for the most part, but the stuttering is still there. and that can be really annoying. This is something that a lot of people complain about in Chernobyl, but it's still a problem in Pripyat. Fortunately, you can still quick save the game. I really hate how modern games don't have this feature, and when I play the older games, I really realize how much I miss it. S.T.A.L.K.E.R Call of Pripyat originally ended a duet of games, and it intended to go out on a bang. Pripyat is by far the most polished and complete S.T.A.L.K.E.R game, but we can't ignore the fact that Chernobyl has considerably more content than Pripyat, far more set pieces overall, more just places to go, missions to do. Pripyat really could have used more labs, for example. These were some of the best parts of S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and the one in Pripyat is the second best part of the entire game, with the best part being the tunnels underground leading to Pripyat. Both of these games are fantastic, and I still go back from time to time and play them, but I frequently more return to Chernobyl than I return to Pripyat. It's just got so many more things to do. Pripyat is definitely a more complete, refined, and higher quality experience in every single way, so it's a hard decision to pick between the two. Now again, by buying Pripyat, you are supporting the same S.T.A.L.K.E.R, so buy it as cheaply as possible. And for those who do not know what I'm referring to, watch the previous Sergei Grigorovich, the owner of GSC Game World, and well known for being a terrible man and manager. So terrible, in fact, that most of the development team left and formed 4A Games, the makers of Metro. However, jokes aside, I definitely recommend Pripyat. It's a great game. Again, thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. Leave a comment below if you have any suggestions, feedback on the video, or more games to play. I'm always looking for more options. I still have a pretty long backlog on Steam, so I'm not going to run anything anytime soon, but I am open to suggestions for sure.